Alright, we're here at Ed's garage. We're going to do a 3400 to a 3800 swap on this Monte Carlo 2004. Valve springs broken, losing antifreeze, and transmission is bad, so we're going to try a swap from a 34 to a 3800, transmission and all. Okay, the first thing we decided we needed was a donor car. So we found a 2000 Monte Carlo SS. Some of the differences are a dual exhaust, possibly a fuel tank, so we pulled a fuel tank on it. This car has already had the motor removed, dropped down, the exhaust removed, because we'll probably need that. Pretty rough shape. It was a rollover. So it's just sitting on a trailer right now in case we need more parts or other parts that we didn't think about. Some of the things that we were concerned about were the anti-lock brakes. The 2000 has anti-lock brakes. The 2004 does not. The air conditioner is different, so that's going to have to be mounted up differently. Other than that, the computer is underneath the air intake box. That's been removed from this car. Accelerator pedal, cables, things like that that we might possibly need have also been removed. This is the car as it's running now. Quite the deal. And there is Ed, our master mechanic. See, it's puffing out old antifreeze out of the exhaust and making all kinds of good noises. And there it is. We're going to start doing it. Okay, this is the donor engine that's been removed. You can see that we have the entire front end of the car, the mounting brackets, the crossovers, the axles, the brake drums, the whole 9 yards. And this is the motor that will be going into the 3400. This is the 3400. Might have a little bit of noise. We've got a fan running in the background. It's like 96 degrees out right now. This motor will be coming out and the 3400 will be going in. Okay, the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing the tires and the antifreeze from the vehicle. Okay, we are now getting ready to drain the antifreeze on this Monte Carlo. And there goes the antifreeze draining. Right down here into this bucket right here. Not going to videotape all of this, so a little bit of pressure behind it. That car hasn't been running but a couple minutes and it's already open air, so motor shot. Okay, we're moving the tires. Okay, the next thing that's going to happen here is the battery is going to be disconnected and the upper motor mounts removed. Motor mounts are here, here. I think that's it. There's another one in the back.
Just these two.
Just those two. And he's going to remove the main plug to the motor, which is that particular wire connects the entire motor, and this little one over here disconnects the entire motor. So we got 2 plugs to disconnect, and when we looked at the other motors, they're basically the same, other than the 2000 had ABS and the 2004 does not. Okay, motor mounts have been removed, battery disconnected, plug disconnected.
Remove the air cleaner.
We got to remove the air cleaner. Tires have also been removed. And we started on this approximately 3:15 on a Saturday. So we'll let you know how we go on time with this. Okay, the first section of the air cleaner has been removed. He's now removing the second section of the air cleaner. And then underneath that is your ECM, or electronic control module. We are recording this on a Samsung FMX F90, so you can kind of rate this camera if you would like. Seems to be working pretty good. First time I ever used it. So if it don't turn out, it won't be on YouTube. So right down here, that is removing right now is the ECM unit. And underneath the air cleaner has 2 bolts that holds the connections for the 2 plugs that go into the ECM. And the ECM is unbolted and being unplugged.
ECM from your car.
And we'll be using the electronic control module, or ECM, from the 3800 motor. Next, we're going to be removing the accelerator cables and the cruise control. Makes it look easy, doesn't it? And now we're going to remove the upper radiator hose. It's got one of those fancy hose clamp remover tools, which I wish I had one of those, because I really hate taking those clamps off with a pair of pliers. The other plug that needs to be removed. And you see another plug that goes down into the transmission, but that doesn't have to be bothered with. Throw a couple of zip ties on everything to keep things out of the way so they don't get in the way or get broken in the process. He's got one holding the wiring harness, one back here holding the radiator hose and the throttle and cruise control cable. Over here we have the positive cable for the fuse control panel. That needs to be removed. And down here, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a ground wire that needs to be disconnected. That goes to the motor, or engine. And we are now removing the lower radiator hose. Done deal. Okay, the air conditioning system has already been evac'd and the freon properly disposed of or contained, and we are now going to remove the hoses for the air conditioning lines. This is different from the other car. Other car mounts up differently, so that'll be a concern that we'll have to look into when we get to that stage. I don't know if you can really see it or not. I can't see it on here. Stuck a light in here. Let's see if we can see it any better.
Hold up, take a picture when you get down there.
There we go. I think we got it maybe.
When you get there, your battery dead.
Okay, the air conditioning lines have been removed. Next will be the fuel lines and the transmission lines, or the transmission shifter cable. Okay, the fuel supply and the fuel return to the tank have been removed. Also the cable for the shifter linkage has also been removed. And that is tying that back now to keep it out of the way. That may be one of our concerns, putting it back together. If they got the right fittings on it and so forth. He's got a vacuum line that he has to disconnect right now.
Okay, what we're going to do is remove the brake calipers and the upper bolts here.
Talking about the upper bolts for the struts.
Well, you'd say the lower strut bolts.
Or the lower strut bolts.
Hammered out after you remove the nuts.
Okay, these bolts on the lower struts have to be hammered out or pressed out. As you can see, the grooves on the thing are pretty much like on a lug nut on a car. If I can hold this camera steady enough, it's a little bit fuzzy. But there we go. You see that? They're just like on a lug nut. They have to be hammered out of the lower strut. Okay, the bolts have been removed from the strut. The caliper removed and tied up so that it's out of the way. And he's doing the other side right now. Okay, we got a couple of little plastic flare screws that have to be removed for access to the back side of the motor engine. Okay, now we're going to remove the two tranny cooler lines, a couple of clips up there, and that's what's next on the list. Okay, the tranny lines have been removed. They're just held in there by a couple of little snap clips that you remove, and then the lines just pull straight out. Okay, Ed took an air line and blew out the old transmission fluid from the tranny cooler and the radiator, just to make sure that we don't have any debris from the old transmission that was having problems, and you know, just to keep the shop a little bit clean, oil not dripping all over the place. Okay, the next thing that we need to remove is the exhaust from the exhaust manifold on the engine. A couple of bolts and that'll be loose. We'll probably have to drop a section of the exhaust in order to drop the motor out. We'll see how that goes. Alright, the oxygen sensor has to be unplugged because that is part of the wiring harness that runs up to the main motor. The exhaust has been disconnected. Okay, now we're going to remove the steering knuckle that goes to the rack and pinion. And then after that, he's going to start removing the 4 bolts that hold the entire motor assembly and crossover and whole 9 yards. Okay, we're lowering it down right now to put the seat belt around the steering wheel to lock it in place so that when we go to put it back in, we're in the same position. And then what Ed's going to do is he's going to loosen these 4 bolts. One here, one back there in that corner, and the 2 on the other side. And then he'll lower it down to the floor and remove the bolts completely. At that time, you should be able to raise the hoist, and the motor, transmission, and the entire drivetrain should come out as one piece. Also, the reason behind locking the steering wheel is if you spin the steering wheel around while it's just sitting here and somebody reaches in there and just gives her a spin, you'll mess up your clock spring, your horn, and your airbag stuff, and it'll mess things up. So you want to lock your steering wheel in place. Okay, all of these bolts have been loosened, all 4. This one, the one in the back here, right there, one on the other side, right there, and one up here on the other side on the front, if I can find it. Right there. They've all been loosened. They're getting ready to lower this thing down onto a couple of 4x4s, and then we'll be pulling the motor. Okay, all 4 bolts have been removed, and we're going to attempt to raise her up and remove the motor, transmission, drivetrain from this 2004 Monte Carlo. Making sure that we got nothing hanging up anywhere.
Zip tie right here on this wire.
Zip tie? You see it?
We got a zip tie over here. No, that's for different wiring harness. Coming up.
Loose, it ain't going down as the muffler's going down with it.
You gotta
Looks like the exhaust might be hung up a little
Hang
bit.
down with it.
hold on.
Everything free?
Except for the exhaust, it's hung up.
We need to block that up a little bit. Oh, hang on. There's a little jack stand over there underneath the press. You know what though? I'm gonna have to tie this up anyway.
Hey Freddie, can you rock that engine forward? There we go.
I'm gonna tie this up. There's a little chain on the side of that. We'll wait till the back and get a small one. It's a green one. There's a green way in the back. So hanging on the side. Put your hand right there.
There?
Yep. Right there.
Oh, I see.
Okay, we're going to chain the exhaust up so it's up and out of the way. Rock the motor a little bit forward, Freddie. There you go. Engine. Correct myself. Motor is electric. up we go.
Still good?
Yep.
Free and clear. Now didn't he make that look easy? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is move this motor out and bring the new one in. Correction, we're going to move this engine out and bring the other engine in.
It looks like it's moving up here.
Yep, and by the way, we started this at 3:15. It's now 5 minutes to 5, and the motor is removed. Engine is removed. Okay, the old motor is out, laying over here. 3800 to 3400 is there. 3800 getting ready to go in. You can see it's on a car dolly. And we're hoping it's going to fit right in between the fenders and drop her down and bolt her right up. So that's our next set. Yeah, it's like 5:15 right now. And getting ready to drop the car down on the motor. So we'll be back with you shortly. Okay, the car is coming down on this small engine. One of the things that we did notice is that the heater hoses mount up differently. We did save the heater hoses off the other car, so you know it's a good thing to have a donor car, so that whatever parts you might need, you got. Okay, at first we thought that the exhaust might work from the 3400 to the 38, but after about halfway down, didn't quite look right, so we're going to go ahead and pull the exhaust off of the 3400 and lower the motor down in there. Then we'll set the engine down on there, and I'll put the exhaust from 3800 on after we got the motor up in place. After we got the engine up in place. Okay, the motor is, the engine is in the car. Nothing's been bolted up yet. Okay, the 4 bolts have been installed on the cross member underneath. It's going to install one motor mount on the top. And then we should be able to raise her up and start getting some stuff hooked back up here. Okay, it's 5:40. Boy, does that look foggy.
What did you say, foggy?
Yeah.
The window says cloudy moisture. The camera's probably foggy.
And 5:40, and the motor's up in place in the hole. Everything's lined up. We're going to start putting parts back in. Okay, we're taking a few minutes to get the old engine out of the garage to give us a little bit more working room. And we'll be back with you shortly. Okay, after a little break here, getting the motor out, cleaning up the shop. It's now 6 o'clock. We're lining up the struts. Put the struts on, and then after that we'll be connecting the steering linkage to the rack and pinion. Okay, the struts are back mounted in place. Went ahead and put the brake calipers back on and working on the other side.
I have to squeeze them in a little bit.
Okay, it's like 6:45 now, and we just now finished getting the steering coupler onto the rack and pinion. That was a little bit of a chore to get that in there, and probably took us a good hour or so just trying to get everything lined up correctly. So now that's done, and we're gonna do the exhaust.
Okay, let's go grab that exhaust.
Okay, the exhaust is installed. We went from an SS 3400 to the 3800, and 3800 has dual exhaust. And as you can see, we're missing a couple of brackets, one here and one back here on the cross frame, and of course the two right above the exit of the exhaust muffler. The two brackets over here are the same. We just have to pull the brackets off the other car, which is another good reason why having a donor car really helps you out. And this is where we're going to finish up tonight, and we'll get back to it tomorrow. Okay, we're on day 2. We just connected the heater hole, or the transmission cooler lines to the transmission. That's now complete. We did a little bit on the exhaust, took the brackets off the donor car and installed them on this car, so the muffler is all up intact. There is one more bracket that is different from the 3400 that has to be welded to the body of the car. We haven't got to that or decided what we're going to do about that yet. The heater hoses had to be pulled off of the donor car and put on this car because they hook up in a different configuration. Okay, these are the heater hoses that we swapped out from the donor car. They run across here and mount in the front. On the 3800 they were somewhere in this area. We've connected power supply to the fuse box and the connection box right here to the motor wire, engine wiring harness, and the connection over here where my screwdriver is, right here, to the engine block also. There's going to be an issue with the fuel lines. They connected right in this area before, but now they're going to be connected over here and over here. And the vacuum line where the exhaust or the fuel tank is also over here. So we got to work that out, and we'll get back with you. Okay, this is what we decided to do with the fuel lines. We checked the prices at the dealership and also the kits that you can buy to replace them. The word that's out on the replacement fittings that you can buy from the auto parts store is that they fail and they're hard to work with. The fittings from the dealership are about 140 bucks a piece. So what we decided to do was to just cut the lines, put 2 5/16 and 1 3/8 compression fittings on the vacuum, the fuel return, and the fuel supply line. And we're going to connect these up now, and should work out great. Okay, we have the fuel line, the vacuum line, and the fuel return line connected with these compression fittings. They run up here, come across, one goes over there, the other one is right here, and then you got the vacuum line here. So everything is connected up as far as the fuel. Next project is we have to remove the throttle cable from the donor car and install it on this car. The ends on the cable are different, so they got to be changed out. So these are all kind of things you might want to do prior to putting the new engine in and swapping out these parts, and that'll make your job a lot easier. Okay, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but we also had to replace the bottom radiator hose. The hose at the bottom is the same, but where it goes into the engine, the hose off the 3400 was the same size as the inlet. So we swapped out the hoses, and we put antifreeze in the car now, and we'll probably go to the throttle cable next. Alright, the accelerator cable has been replaced. We did not have to replace the accelerated pedal. It had the same fitting on the end, so that was an easy deal. We've also reinstalled the ECM unit, electronic control module, and the air filter and air cleaner. We do have a security code. We've hooked up the battery. We do have a security code on the computer. We're waiting for the computer for this car to recognize the new computer, and we'll see if she starts up. Alrighty, while we're waiting here for the car to recognize the new computer, our next problem is the air conditioning lines. The original one went in the side, which is this one right here, and it has an angle, and as you can see, these fittings here and these fittings here are all the wrong angle. And also that one has a male fitting, this one has a female. So what has to happen here is we're going to have to cut these hoses here and here, or here and here, and do the same on the other one. One's going to have to be a little bit longer, so we'll have to figure that out, which one has to be longer, and get the correct length, and then we'll take them and get them spliced, and hopefully the air conditioning will work also when we're done here. Okay, here we are back again. We've got the ignition programmed. We did end up having to switch out the ignition switch from the donor car to this car. And we had to kind of look up the teaching sequence. What it was is that you turn the key to the on position to start, and then release it. Wait for 15 minutes for the security light to quit blinking, and then do that again. Repeat it. Turn the key on, turn it to the start position, and release the key and leaving it on. And wait another 15-20 minutes till the light quits blinking. And then on your third try, the key should be taut and the car should start. So we're going to try it right now and see what happens. Well, would you looky there. Just like brand new. Running like a charm, smooth. A little bit of work to change out the ignition. We had to take the entire dashboard out. We did change the instrument cluster on the car so that it would match the 38 motor that we put in, engine. I'm going to take a walk around to the back. And there's our 2 exhaust pipes. Not spitting and sputtering like the last one, was it? So it was a little bit of a challenge figuring out all the things that we had to do. But it worked out really great, and the car is running. Sounds totally awesome. All the instrument gauges are working properly, and just got to add a little bit more antifreeze to it when it warms up, and it'll be good to go. Okay, we took her for a test drive. Ran out really smooth. Engine runs really smooth. No hiccups, no overheating. Transmission shifted really well. The only thing that is unresolved is the air conditioning lines, but we do have a solution for that, and we are going to take care of that. It's a matter of changing, swapping the fittings out and putting new compression fittings on the end of the lines, and we'll get the air conditioning going. Okay, I'm Kevin. This is my brother Ed. And we are at Ed's garage, where the master mechanic just swapped a 3400 to a 3800, and on the second day we had her running. So from start to finish, 2 days, done deal. I hope all this information helps you guys out, and it's the real deal. So I hope you enjoy our video. Thank you. See you next time.